And how are you today, sir? I just want to start off by asking you your name and age.
My name is Brian, and my age is 60.
60?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Look good for 60, man. 60
Thank you,
years
thank
young.
you. Well, I've looked better. I'm telling you, I've looked better.
Hey, I can imagine so, man. I just first want to start off by asking you, how long have you been home?
Uh,
So let me rephrase that. How long have you been living this lifestyle?
just a couple of months. I spent. Is it all right to tell my story?
Yes,
I
fully.
spent I spent 3.5 months in the hospital and almost died. And I was at UAMS. I don't know if I can say these names. Baptist Health. And I was at the Springs by Pinnacle Mountain doing rehabilitation and learning how to walk again. And when all that was finished, I was put out on the streets. I was dropped off by a van here in downtown Little Rock, and I've been homeless ever since.
Oh, what initially, I'm sorry. Again, but let me start off by saying I'm sorry for that situation. You was diagnosed with an illness
I,
and
I had an infection in my lower body.
infection. Can
Uh-huh.
you explain that? Like what? How did the infection start, and what was the infection?
It's kind of a touchy subject, but
Okay.
in my lower torso, I got an infection, and so they put me in the hospital, and they took care of me for about a month and a half at each hospital that I just mentioned. And then after all that was over with, they dropped me off downtown Little Rock in a van, and I've been homeless ever since. I used to have a very good life. I had a car. I was two payments from paying it off. I had been paying on it for 3 years. I lived in a really affluent neighborhood in Maumelle. I had a really good life, and just things went to crap, and it can happen to anybody at any point.
Yeah. Man. Okay. So starting with the hospital. So before being released, how did the hospital treat you?
As far as the care was concerned, they treated me really good. It's just that they felt there was nothing they else they could do for me at the time, even though I could barely walk. And they put me in a van and they dropped me off in downtown Little Rock.
Well, on the good note, I'm glad that you did get adequate treatment and you did feel that you were being treated right. On the bad side, just being knocked out, I know that has to make you feel like in a bad, terrible
Yeah,
headspace.
but
Explain to me, how did that feel that day when they just like essentially just left you out there?
well, you have to learn to fend for yourself. Got to go find a blanket first and foremost, especially in this kind of weather. It's been brutally cold here recently, but I do have a blanket. I'm blessed. I have a personal relationship with God, and
Yes, sir.
that's the most important thing.
Yes, it is.
That's the only thing that gets me through. The only thing.
Yes, sir.
If it weren't for God, I'd put a gun in my mouth. But
Well,
I've got a beautiful relationship with God, and I'm looked down upon. I'm the scourge of the earth. I'm barred from stores just for the appearance of being homeless. I'm usually clean shaven. I have a bald head. I don't have whiskers on my face, but it's just you kind of buff up for the winter time.
yeah.
You know.
I totally understand. I admire you for being so strong and so tough up here. And then also, as well as you said, you would sometimes, if you didn't have a relationship with God, you would think about putting a gun up to your head. That shows tremendous amount of strength just to rely on a higher power to essentially bring you through one of your darkest
Yeah.
times.
Well, I mean, you're concerned about your safety. That's one of the issues. You're concerned about your safety because there's a lot of homeless people in downtown Little Rock, and so you have to deal with a lot of people encroaching upon your space, causing problems. And I'm not apt to put up with it for too much, but you got to watch out for that.
Yeah, okay. I can
And just like I said, just the worst part is the disrespect from merchants.
merchant.
Yeah, being kicked out of stores just for having the appearance of being homeless.
And I totally feel for you. There's no way to treat someone, especially being a local merchant. You should want to treat your locals with the utmost respect to
Uh,
potentially gain the city on support on your behalf.
if they're going in there and buying goods from your store, then you should treat them just like any other customer. But they don't.
And that is never no way to treat one. I'm sorry that you ever go through any situations like that. Okay, prior to being homeless or prior to your situation, what did you do for work? Like what was your occupation?
I worked at a plumbing supply delivery place. I was a driver, and I worked at Pizza Hut at night, and so I always have had two jobs, and I've always, uh, excuse my French, I've always worked my ass off. And I just, like I said, I went to the hospital. I had a lot of medical problems. I almost died. I lived through it, praise God, and here I am. But so now I have to deal with what I'm having to deal with.
And so it seems like, man, you just said you worked hard, you got a great relationship with God, sick and ill, and fell down on bad luck in your situation. And this just goes to tell you this can happen to anyone. And
Yeah,
this is not just a choice you made. This is a series of bad events that just happened to you. And hopefully you will
exactly.
eventually overcome.
Exactly. Hopefully. I don't know. I might die on the streets. I don't know.
No, sir,
I
you
don't
will
know.
definitely you will overcome this. Just put your mind to it. And with like with the work ethic you got, how many years did you work? How many jobs did you have?
I've worked various places. The last place I worked at the plumbing supply place was for about 2 years. And I worked at Pizza Hut for about 6 months just until I got caught up on my bills and stuff. And so generally, I love a comfortable lifestyle. I love to lay down in a big comfortable bed. I like to watch my TV. I like to watch my YouTube. I like to just live that good life. But sometimes God allows, doesn't cause, but it allows us to go through things.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
So going back to that first day that you came home the first time, do you remember that day?
the first day, yeah. I mean, vaguely, I vaguely remember it. I just it's just it's inconvenient, and you do what you have to do to make yourself as comfortable as possible. Try and find you a blanket,
Yeah.
try and dress warmly. I mean, that's all you can do. Try and find a comfortable spot to lay down and sleep for the evening, and get up and start your day over with.
Yeah.
I don't know if it matters or not, but back in the day there was a movie called Where the Day Takes You.
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
Okay, and it was about a bunch of homeless kids, I think in New York City or something like that, and their daily struggles, and really profoundly impacted me in life. I mean, because you've got to have a leader, uh, you've got to have followers, you've got to have someone that's going to be strong and be a support network for you at some point. Okay, I'll stop preaching.
I know. I love the conversation we was just having, man. It stimulated my brain. So on that first day, could you kind of walk us through that first day? Tell us how you felt on that first day of you being homeless. Kind of walk us through some details if you remember.
I think I prayed a lot at the transition that I was going through. It's not something I'm unaccustomed to. I've had bouts of homelessness before, but I've always pulled myself up by my bootstraps and made something of myself. And it'll happen again. It's just that transitionary period. You have to for some odd reason. I don't know. For some odd reason, I have to go through it. For some odd reason, I don't know.
Yeah. Sometimes God, you mentioned you believe in God. Sometimes God picks the strongest soldiers to go through the toughest battles. So He may have something in store for you. And I'm so glad that you're keeping your hopes up and you're keeping your spirits alive, man. And you mentioned that you like to watch YouTube, gather blankets, lay down and be cozy. Like, do you have like a shelter nearby or any type of home facility?
I don't. I sleep outdoors, so just my night's contingent upon the weather, and the weather's been really good here the last couple 3 nights.
Yeah.
I have a decent blanket. I think I do. I don't know. Somebody may have taken it by now. because when you walk away from anything in downtown Little Rock, it's more than likely going to end up being gone, but in no time. So I feel really blessed. Somebody stole my charger, left my phone, stole my charger, stole my glasses. I wear glasses. This is boring. This is boring for YouTube, but somebody stole my reading glasses, so I can't. I've got my phone, but I can't even really see it, and I can't get. I haven't had the money to get to the dollar store completely across town on Colonel Glenn and get another pair of glasses. I'll try that in a few days.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. And could you just kind of walk through a night of you trying to go to sleep, or you finding your place outside to go to sleep? Like, how do you pick your the perfect spot, or how do you find your potential sleeping quarters?
Uh, I I have a little place called the Cubby Hole, and there's a business that's nearby, and I've been inside and I talked to them, and I go pick up trash in this neighborhood here, all up and down this street. I pick up trash, and every once in a great while they'll give me $1 or two or whatever. But I try and keep the area clean. I don't like to see it all cluttered. So I've got a little area, and they know that I'm there, so they're kind of watching out for me a little bit, and so that's good. I just gotta be careful at night when I lose consciousness.
Okay. All right. And you mentioned sometimes people take your things. You mentioned about your one of your blankets, your glasses.
Mm.
So I know that is a challenging thing. Can you like mention to me some of the most challenging things you go through in this lifestyle, or just the most challenging thing in day to day in this lifestyle?
Well, I have two artificial hips,
Hey,
and
I know that must be hard for you.
I can walk. I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be able to walk, but it's a literal pain to do it every day. Everywhere you go, you have to plan your steps out. You're like, well, the church is 4 blocks away, and if I go down this road and blah blah blah,
Yeah,
so I have to watch everything that I do physically.
yeah. And how does that play on your mental? Having to watch your back all the time and having to watch your things constantly. How does that make you feel?
I don't know. It's a miracle I'm still alive, really, to be quite honest. That's the way I look at it. Uh, I've got uh, I've got one good friend that does DoorDash on his bicycle, and so I'm able to talk to him periodically, just have conversations, and just get it out.
And you just mentioned DoorDash. So, like, what do you do for food?
What do I do for food?
Yeah,
I panhandle.
panhandle.
I have to.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we don't have what we need, so we have to go ask. So when you panhandle, like, just give me a step by step. What? How do you do it? Do you lead with kindness? Do you lead with empathy, or do you kind of lead with your story?
I just ask, can you please spare some change? Either they can or they can't. So
Okay, and how like and when you panhandle and you get food, sometimes food don't always come prepared, or it just need a little more fixing on it. So how do you prepare your meals? Like where do you prepare them? How do you prepare them?
I don't I don't prepare meals. If I have the additional income, I'll go to Taco Bell or McDonald's and get something to eat there. But I have to. What little money I have, I really have to watch every dollar. Every dollar counts.
Okay. Well, let me start by asking this: how do you make a living? How do you get by?
Currently,
Yeah,
this is it.
this is it.
Currently, this is it. Usually, I work.
Yeah.
Usually, I have two jobs, but since I was in the hospital and got released out on the streets, I've been out of work, and it's been a tough predicament to put everything back together.
I understand that it's a tough situation. I really, it really hurts my heart to see that such a nice person goes through bad things. And
Yeah.
just, I know I keep saying it, but please keep your hopes up, and one day
Well,
everything will look up.
while I have this opportunity, I wrote a book. It's called Crumbs from the Master's Table, and I've sent it to publishers in New York City who want to publish it, but they want some money up front. This is a cheap thing to say on YouTube or whatever, but I wrote a book called Crumbs from the Master's Table, and I'm an amazing artist. So I have these talents, but I'm not really doing anything.
Where could we possibly see this book? This could possibly fund the rest of your life. If this book is out for publishing, this could potentially lead to a generational wealth for you.
I can email my book to anyone.
Okay, all right. And we'll try our best to get that email, man.
It's in my
So
phone.
that is another way that you can create some wealth. I was just going to ask you, how much do you create by panhandling? But you can create much more by selling a book.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying.
Yeah.
I've
But
been
how much
trying.
do you make per se panhandling?
Not much at all.
Yeah.
A dollar or two.
$1 to a day?
No, not much more really. People
Man,
aren't they don't have that giving spirit much anymore. They're busy. I understand.
to have that mentality and that attitude is inspiring, man. And you mentioned you did have some health issues and you had an infection, and being in this situation right now, that did being homeless increase your health risk?
No, I was released from the hospital, so I mean, as far as they're concerned, I'm healed, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm able to walk around, move around, and get things done. It's not easy, but I'm still able to get things done.
Okay, so despite your homelessness, have you been able to stay healthy? Do you think you've been doing a good job of keeping yourself in line, your body in check, and just overall health issues?
Um, Not really because the eating is so sporadic. You get food where you can.
And what is the hardest thing you have to experience? Can you give us any details about that? Just the hardest thing you've experienced on your journey.
Just the disrespect from others.
Could you explain how the disrespect make you feel?
Like I'm lower than them. Like I'm not as worthy as they are because they have a job. I used to have a job. I don't have a job right now, but
Yeah,
I'm sure I'll have a job later. But I don't have one right now, and so I'm looked down upon. And most homeless people are looked down upon,
yeah.
and people don't know their story, and they treat them like crap. And I understand that. I understand that. I used to have a great life, and if I saw a homeless person, I'd be like, yeah, let's go out and get a job or something.
Yeah,
It's real easy to say that, but it's not.
yeah. It is really easy to say it in someone else's shoes. Like just like you were a normal, everyday, happy person going out in society and making a living for yourself, and bad things turn, it can happen to anyone else. So anybody that's watching can see that it can happen to them if just by a snap of a
Yeah,
finger, they can take heat onto your situation and
yeah.
potentially, change people like you lives. And,
Everybody's really. You want to be honest about it. Everybody's a paycheck away from being homeless. You never know how your situation's going to turn out, and sometimes you don't have that backup. You don't have that support. You're not married, and you're on your own, so to speak, and so Uh, you never know what's going to happen.
okay.
It can turn on a dime.
Now, tell me the biggest and the greatest act of kindness you've ever had. Tell me the biggest act of kindness you had in this lifestyle. Have anyone ever did such a great thing for you in your situation that you'll never forget?
Yeah, I've had people help me in the past.
Could you give us details on that? Explain
Uh,
what
there
they
was
did?
there was there was an elderly woman back in the '80s that took me under her wing, and she would go and buy me clothes at Sears and give me money when I needed it. Just she was real. She was filthy rich, but she was a very kind lady. So I've had people extend benevolence towards me, and I'm not unappreciative of that. I really do appreciate it. But right now it's not one of those times. But I mean, there's little acts of kindness every day, really. A guy, I was sitting on the wall, and the guy drove by and gave me a McGriddle. A guy drove by and gave me a sausage McMuffin. Just I'm just sitting there minding my own business. I'm not asking anybody for anything, and they did that. And people don't have to do that.
And that's all it's about. Random people giving random acts of kindness, they can make the world better. If more people would be nicer, the world would truly be a better place.
Absolutely.
Okay, if you could turn back time and do anything different, what would you change to have you in a better spot tomorrow than you are today?
It's ancient history, but I would have stayed in college. I went to college for a while, and I was an artist, and I majored in art. And the wave of the future was computer programming, and I didn't want any part of that.
Yeah,
And I ended up dropping out of college and didn't get into computer programming, or I'd have a house in Malibu Beach somewhere right now at this
yeah,
point. And things would have been completely different, but I don't know. I was raised in a small town. I just always wanted a simple life.
yeah.
It's as simple as possible, with least stress as possible. Personal relationship with God. That's it.
That's honestly and hindsight the most important part. And with that being said, I know you had wishes and dreams and goals when you were younger. Like, can you elaborate and tell me some of those goals you have, or some of those dreams, or some of those wishes you can get right now to come true?
Well, I'd like to sell my art. I do sacred geometry. I'm an artist. God's blessed me with the ability to draw, and I have a lot of artwork that I would really love to sell if I could find the right market. And like I said, I wrote a book, and I'm just sitting on the book and sitting on my artwork, and nothing's
Okay.
happening.
Like when I see you talk about it, you sound very happy and very joyful when you speak about your work, man. I wish and I hope and I know that more people are going to soon tune in and buy your artwork and buy your book. And with the mindset you have, it's only a matter of time. If you believe in yourself and get your message out to people, I believe that you can come up out of this and be a great addition into society.
Man, well, hopefully, because the clock's ticking, man. Clock's ticking. I don't have much time left, really. It's a miracle I'm still alive, to be quite honest.
The day that we're alive is a blessing, man. Would you like to give any advice to any viewers out there watching about your situation or how to steer clear from things that could lead them down a path, just a path that they don't want to go down.
Yeah, just keep praying, man. Just no matter what you're going through, just keep praying. That's all I got to say, really.
All right, thank you so much here, and also along with the food, just for you, your hard work and your efforts today, and you answering these questions. This was essentially a job opportunity, so I'd like to reward you and thank you so much. If you could just take this and
Thank you.
yes, sir, and I appreciate you so much.